just wanted to start first by thanking you for making it this far. You have two sides to you, a saint and a sinner. So do I. And the interesting thing about that is that you are going to have a certain intention or a plan for a day, but then it doesn't go according to plan, and then you're going to hear that dark passenger, that inner critic, continuously gnawing at your psyche. And so the whole Purposefully Aligned is not to get rid of that little voice. That voice will always be there. On our next session, we're going to be talking about this dark passenger and how to dance with it properly. That voice never goes away, in case you haven't noticed. But what you've noticed now, if you've been doing the work, is that you are creatively, actively, intentionally creating the day. So you're grabbing the bull by the horns and you're using your will to fight the resistance, because there's resistance that we have to deal with. On a day-to-day basis, we are dealing with a resistance, and that will continue for the rest of your life. However, the energy output that you put into doing what you're doing each and every day, the energy output that you take and choose to take against the resistance, to actively create the day starting from the night before, so that you can plan it and live powerfully through each day. Create and through your intention and your will, be the cause of the universe bending to your will with whatever you love. And what do we all want? We all want more love. We want abundance. We want prosperity. We want health. We want healing. We all want the same things. We want to be able to co-author. We want to live a life of power, self-expression. We want to be aligned with who we are. We want to be able to tell the truth. We don't want to have to lie constantly and pretend to be somebody else. These are energy drainers. These are more resistance, rocks in your backpack as you're trying to soar. So if you've been following so far by now, you now know who you are. You now are taking ownership, grabbing the bull by the horns, and energizing your body each and every day to push through resistance and allow your will to override any resistance that's happening. Essentially, that's what it is. Because when you don't do that, you become overwhelmed, you get anxious, you get depressed, and all of these mental disorders are all because of that energy that we don't actively take to create. We actually succumb to it. So hopefully you're noticing the difference now, just from the feedback that I'm getting. I'm just so thrilled to be able to see at this stage of the game, if you've been keeping up with the work, that you're going to wake up each day and you're going to notice a different state of being. In fact, I see some of the photographs and I can see the difference in the way that you look, and I can hear the difference in the tone of your voice and what you're saying, not your voice, but the message that you're sharing or you're putting out there is totally changing. And be aware that that's because you yourself have decided to make yourself a priority, invest in your way of being, and learn and do the work to actually elevate yourself to where you would actually love to be. I know it's been a rewarding experience for me. So once you're there, now we get to a point where we're clearing some resentment and regret. Okay, you might not have completed the entire list by now. That's okay. But at this stage of the game, if you've been doing the work right, and you've been working and mentoring and getting accountability and helping each other, and doing the work, you'll notice that you're not burdened so much with resentment or regret. We're going to keep moving forward and go into how to really lighten that even more, so that we can shorten the span of suffering, make you more resilient, and elevate your abundance level as far as your giving. Because before, if you're dragging stuff, you don't have any energy to be giving. But now, as that energy management is starting to rise, you're noticing who you're being is becoming more powerful. You just feel like giving, you know what I mean? So be present to that. And also, you'll notice a difference in your physical appearance. You probably are looking much better right now. So without further ado, let's go right into this challenging class, because there's going to be homework and there's going to be accountability, and you're going to have to actually do this if you expect transformation. So let's get going. All right. So here we are. Let's go right into it. Boom. Awesome. So here we are. Powerfully aligned, baby. You're starting to feel it, aren't you? I know you is. We're talking about restoring integrity in all relationships. This is going to be fun. By the way, I just want to say thank you to my tech team, Alexander, also to Laura and Alexandra, one of my new members of my team. As this movement keeps growing, thanks to your assistance, thanks to your investment, I'm able to provide work and employment and inspiration to a group of entrepreneurs who believe in this project so much and are inspired, and are actually, everybody who's on my team is in a certain way following along with this program. So I just want to say how proud I am that I'm assembling a team that is also conscious seeking, that we are all growing together. And it's pretty rewarding to be able to be part of that and just observe it in my team as well. So that was an unexpected side effect benefit I'm pretty thrilled about. So what's next? What's next? Number one, you now have a mission statement. Okay, by this stage, you know who you are. If you stay true to exactly what the homework has been, and you've done some work, you are 100, there isn't a doubt who you are. When you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror, you're in the shower, you're repeating consistently who you are for yourself and this world, and what you deserve, who you'd love to be, what you'd love to do to get to be that, and what in exchange would you love to have. You know why you're here. And truly, life is empty and meaningless, right? You know that it is. It's only meaningful by the meaning that we put into it. So you've declared what that's going to be, and every day you're doing rituals that are aligned with energetically, to get you energetically aligned with who you are being. And so when you're there and you're focused on serving others, you're not worried about all of these, depression, anxiety. These things are all spiritual disorders that happen when you're out of alignment. By this stage also, you're now aware of the duality in your life in every moment and are starting to see it everywhere. In other words, by week 12, you're going to still have positives and negatives. That's quite liberating. By tomorrow, you're going to look and you're going to see amazing positives happening in your life and some negatives, and they will always be there in balance. It's like they call it the Tao. It's kind of that sweet spot in the middle, and that is a beautiful place to be, that bittersweet spot. Getting centered, doing a meditation and getting centered and becoming aware of both sides as you tackle your day, as you dance through your day, makes you way more centered, makes you more powerful and stable. It's kind of like the pendulum going side by side, side to side. It basically, you let it go and it actually, you want it in the center. So that's where it's most stable. By this stage also, you've cleared a major resentment or regret. Now, you might not have finished all of them. That's up to you to tell me and or the coaches that there's still things that you're holding on to. That is ideally the topic of, you do the work yourself, and then whatever's not completed, you have the coaches that are helping you. Myself, the people in the group, ask questions, your accountability partner. Just make sure you are working on it and you're aware. If you're not cleared on it, become aware of it and just look at it without any judgment. And this stage, you're also an observer to your complaints. That's all it takes right now. Now that you've been aware and awakened from last week, just watch them come up. And your major complaint comes from your inner critic, your dark passenger. So become an observer to it, because it's never going anywhere. Next, like I said, next module, we're going to go into some deep, dark passenger work. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, because we all are aware of it. Just listen to it. Listen to it, say, oh my God, there it is. They're not good enough. Oh, I'm not good enough. Ha ha ha. And I'm going to show you how to come clean with it and how to regain your power over it instantaneously. That's what today's class is about. It's actually pretty freaking cool. By this stage as well, you are an observer to your complaints. You are consciously, actively creating your future with different language than before. You realize that everything that you're saying to everyone else and yourself is creating it. So I have literally mid-sentence stopped myself in the middle of a shitty conversation that was contracting myself and the other person I was talking about. So I catch myself consistently. And then I ask, who would I love to be? And then I make the correction. It's powerful stuff. And by this stage as well, you're aware of your dark passenger, that inner critic. You hear what he says, you see what he's doing or she's doing. Mine's affectionately named Nick. By the end of next session, you'll have a name for your own. It's quite funny. Where you understand that that's what's happening right now, is your dark passenger is in full bloom, and there's going to be times where you're aware of your dark passenger is there. You want to use it to your advantage. So, all right. So let's get back to this concept, because it was kind of a review from last week where we talked about the overview method, which is a tool that I came up with that helps you clear resentment. Why is that important? Because resentment is like taking poison and expecting the other person to die. It's true. Sometimes that resentment happens towards the self, and that's what guilt is. It's resentment towards the self. So I'm going to get you to do this, okay, for a moment. I want you to be honest with yourself and ask what resentments and regrets are still there. Now, it could still be there even after a session. You know, the charge has diminished quite a bit, and that's cool. I mean, it sometimes takes a little bit of time, but just be aware, what's the resentment that you have, and make a note of it. And on your next session, make sure that we complete it. All right, that's really important. So right now, when you're looking around at your life, take a look at the past stuff, because by this stage, we are almost getting to the point of completion for past stuff. And from this point forward, we're gonna be able to look forward of what we want to create. We want to really connect with our power to create. Our creativity starts at the point where we're now present. We are now complete with our past. So what's still there? What's going on? What is still happening? Make a note of it and write it down, and make sure that you share it in the group. And let's get some help and assistance in getting you clear on any resentments or regrets. So we're going to talk about integrity. It's a very incredible word, because I really didn't have a value on it. I just, it's really what integrity is that the definition is really, it's a noun that says the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. I'm not really referring to morality. That's just part of the definition of it. We're not talking about integrity in terms of morality, because morality is a very subjective thing. That's not the greatest part of this word. It's really, I want to really focus on integrity being the state of being whole and undivided and complete. And part of the reason why we have depression, we have anxiety, we have low self-esteem is because we have something that isn't whole and complete, something that's divided, an incomplete from a past story with a friend, family member, lover, something that's just not complete. When it's not complete, we can't be whole. We can't be our fully present well self. So if you are to be able to be sound mind and body, doing what you love, making good money, being prosperous, both in health, in finances, and in relationships, in all areas of your life, we have to restore integrity, the workability, the parts of you that are broken, they have to be repaired. And it's usually in terms of our relationships. That's right. We live our lives through our relationships. And these relationships, are really the content of the conversations within these relationships. And so a lot of times in your past, you'll look back on stuff that's not fully complete. It's because there is a brokenness within, a breakdown in the communication. And so today is really about restoring that integrity, restoring the brokenness. And it's going to take vulnerability. It's going to take a lot of courage. It's going to take you facing your fears, because some of you haven't spoken to certain people for years. Many people are, disconnected from certain people in their lives, and they don't realize that that brokenness is contributing to their lack of power, because of the guilt involved. And if you want that power back, you got to restore the integrity. You can't just keep living with this feeling of guilt or resentment or shame or whatever. You call yourself out on it, and you communicate it in a brave and bold way, and all of a sudden, it's like a weight is lifted off your shoulders and you are powerful again. So to become powerfully aligned in all areas of your life is to consistently work back into integrity when you've otherwise fallen out. And you're going to be doing this over and over and over again. If you're in a relationship with someone, you're a human being, you're going to fall in and out of integrity. Basically, integrity really is about saying what you do and doing what you say. I mean, how often am I late for something? That's out of integrity. So in order for me to continue the workability of a relationship, it requires that I restore integrity when I've fallen out. And that's up to me to do. And that's really the whole the whole point of this whole module, this whole session. So we can't stay conscious all the time. We have to go through times of falling out of integrity. It's just, we all do. Because if you're playing a big game and you're expanding yourself, then you're challenging yourself. You're expanding on your word. And so if you're going to fall out of integrity, that's sometimes a sign that you're playing a big ball game. You're playing big. If you're playing big, then you're going to fall in and out of integrity. It's up to us to call ourselves out right away and clean it up as we go. So why is this so important? Any relationship commitment that is incomplete is robbing you of your power, freedom, self-expression, and healing. In other words, a lack of integrity. So basically, it's really about restoring it. So the question is, how do you restore it? How do you fall back into integrity? It's through a strategic communication. After you have completed the resentment and regret, after you've done the overview method and the complaint that you have about that person is complete within your own mind, it's important for you to go and call yourself out with powerful, declarative, integrity restoring communication. Because what happens is when you lose your power, the cause is always the same. It's falling out of completeness or integrity. So if you, through this process or through your life, you just feel, anxious again, you feel sad, you feel depressed. In other words, you feel like you've lost your power. It's because you've fallen out of integrity with something. So restoring integrity requires vulnerability. So we get vulnerable, we own our part to it, and then you have to put yourself on the line and call yourself out. This is the difficult part. What we don't realize is that the thing we're resisting, which is telling the truth and calling ourselves out and, calling BS on ourselves, it's so painful. But when you do, it's so freaking liberating. But you got to be willing to call yourself out and put yourself on the line. It requires that you must be willing to have that difficult conversation through fear and through pain. What's that lie or that big secret you've been holding on to? Guess what? It's keeping you out of integrity. It is robbing you of your power. So having that difficult conversation in a strategic way that empowers people so that they're touched and moved and inspired. It'll be the most liberating experience of your life, especially if it's been a big emotional charge, if it's been a big out of integrity. I can see people getting sick over this. They can have, adrenal problems. I mean, think about it. If you're out of integrity, you're out of alignment with who you are, you're basically fighting, you're resisting life in every moment. Your will is trying to fight through massive resistance. Of course, you'll be exhausted. So people with hormonal, adrenal issues, consider that you're probably pushing a boulder up a hill. You're fighting some sort of resistance. There's a lack of integrity. This stuff will heal you. Most importantly, it'll heal you and renew your emotional freedom. It's really, there's no two ways about it. I've literally seen people heal from chronic disorders, spontaneous remission of digestive issues, spontaneous remission of, even less like musculoskeletal problems, like digestive and hormonal issues are the biggest. I've done this one restoration of integrity with one client, and she for 10 years wasn't getting her period. We did one session and we cleared this lack of integrity. We did an overview on it, and she told the truth about the fact that she wasn't fulfilled sexually, and she was suppressing herself sexually. She admitted that, told the truth, told her husband about it, and then that month, for the first time in 10 years, she got her period back. Wow. It's just weird. You just put yourself on the line. She'd been resisting telling him the truth. She called herself out and then told him. And so, I don't know. Give me any person you know with a chronic illness, and I will show you that they've lost their power because they're a lack of integrity. And this is how you get back into it. The final result is integrity is restored, a sense of lightness and completeness, and a regained sense of wholeness. Who wants that? Who wants more of that in their lives? Hell yes. So it's easy. There's an access to that power. Here's what you do. Number one, you're going to do this. You're going to write down a list of all the relationships within your social structures. So what do I mean by that? You have a social structure of family, immediate family, extended family. You have a social structures within work, friends, old friends, high school friends, different communities. These all serve as little communities that you're all a part of. You want to include the people who've dropped out, the close ones who've dropped out, those big lack of integrity who you're avoiding. All right? Yes, I'm talking about the one that you just are so hurt by, and you feel so miserable by, and you're just holding on to this resentment because you're holding on to your story. By now, you understand that your complaint and your story is pure BS. So go ahead and write them down, the ones who you still haven't completed with. Yes, I'm talking about that person. Go for it. Keep doing it. Then what you want to do is you want to sort them by their groups. This group of 10 is in the family, then there's work, then there's church, then there's bowling. You get it. There might be up to 50, 60 people in this social structure, or it could just be a small group. But I just did a little, a little demo for you right there. There's the immediate family on the top left, bottom left, we have work. Then there's friends, and there's chiropractic friends that I have. Then I have my extended family. Now, this is just 1/4 of it. It'll continue on. And what I'm going to get you to do is take the time. It'll take you about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to do it right. And in all of these names, you're going to look and you're going to see the connection between them, you and that person. And you're going to give it a rating. You're going to see, okay, this person I'm totally nothing but love for. If I were to see them based on the conversations, and why is that? It's the relationship that you have with them is based on the conversations. The conversations with these people are either enrolling them into a greater possibility for themselves and their lives and expanding them, or the conversations you're having with these people are been contracting, talking shit about other people, beating yourself down, beating them down, looking and judging other people. What has been the quality of the content of the conversations that you're having within these relationships? It's fascinating. When I did this exercise this summer, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, because everything that I learned that's been pivotal in my transformation is what I'm going to share with you. You're going to make a note of all of these people, and you're going to kind of do a little bit of a check-in when you think of those people, and you're going to give it a rating. You're going to say which ones are great. Okay, good. The ones that are great, keep nurturing them. You know, you only have a limited amount of hours in a day. So even just reaching out with a text message saying, I love you is one. That's an oxytocin bond that's made. A phone call, because now you have a voice, brings out more oxytocin. And then a meeting in person where you're seeing them, eye contact, body language, smiles, physical contact, hugs, that kind of thing, is a greater shot of oxytocin. So that warms your heart, that connects you, that bonds you, that heals you, pain modulates you. So make your choice of how you want to connect with these people, because ranging from physical contact to voice to email to a text is a wide variety of oxytocin. Now, there's only one of you, and you have to choose your time wisely. Make sure that it's in powerful alignment with your values, and don't apologize for that, but that's who you are. And make sure that you're able to realize that your life is a series of these relationships that require oxytocin, every reach out and connect. So get a inventory on where you stand with all of these people based on the conversations that you've had. So if they've been shitty conversations at the end, then you're not going to spend a lot of time with them, and rate that. Like, in other words, make a quality assessment and the feelings that you're holding on to within those structures. Okay? So what do you feel? Do you feel betrayed? Do you feel resentment? Do you feel guilt? Just be very honest, okay? And rate the quality, and put a star beside the ones that are in the most dire need. And what you're going to do is you're going to use the overview method from last week to work on the emotional charge with those people that are still remaining, the most highest priority to the lowest, and have a chat with your coach or myself about that. And, you know, right now we don't have coaches, but as they come in, you'll be able to work with coaches if it's not going to be with me. And that's going to be the most important thing for you to really understand, is that as you go, you're going to have to clear those resentments. And you have the overview method to do that. So if you haven't completed and you're still resentful, we know what to do. That's our next thing, because the whole goal is, after you're done doing the work on it, then we go restore integrity and have this very critical conversation. And that conversation is very important. What is it? Okay. You're going to approach that person after you've cleared your emotional charge with them. Okay, so when you approach scenarios from this standpoint, victimhood is cleared, the judgment and delusion that it should have been different has been cleared. You now understand why you were that way and why the situation happened as it did. So the overview method, after you're done doing it on that individual, then you'll understand why it should have happened as it did. If you can't see why you're still holding on to a charge, then you're not complete with it, my friend. You're having a persistent complaint that's costing you. There's a payoff, remember we talked about it, but it's still costing you. So we get to work on clearing that so that you can see that everything happened as it should, that your judgment is to zero. You're not having any emotional charge when you're looking at it now. So what does the conversation look like? It is something that we do to regain power where it's been lost. We clear the resentment first, we clear the regret, and then we go and we make a declaration and get authentic and get vulnerable. Because the way back to authenticity is to declare where you've been inauthentic. Isn't that weird? So we say the greatest quality now in people is their truth, their authenticity. So how do I get, people question is, how do I get authentic? Well, the way back into authenticity is to declare where you've been inauthentic. So when I declare where I'm being inauthentic, that moment where I do that, I've just told the truth. It's really cool. It's amazing. It's the greatest secret that I learned from Werner Erhard. This is all based on Werner Erhard's work. And he's a genius. And think about that. The second you lose your power, the second you're in a bad state, the second you are having a breakdown, your way out and your way to access back into that power is to have a restoration of integrity conversation. And how do you do that? How do you get authentic? Well, you declare where you've been inauthentic. And that just gets you authentic again. You basically call someone and you listen, hey, I've been an asshole. Or, oh, you know what? I have a confession to make. Boom. Those two things have made me authentic. Whatever I say after that is authentic, as long as it's the truth. So how does it look? There's, I think, 5 or 6 parts. We'll see. Part 1, what you do to restore that integrity is you start by telling the person, the story I've been telling is blank. Okay? So the story I've been telling is that you didn't support me, Dad. Telling myself is that you, so this is if I'm restoring integrity with my father, I declare what I've been inauthentic. I say, hey, Dad, I just wanted to tell you something. The story I've been telling about you has been that you're not supportive. So that's the first part. There's another way that you can say it. You know, I've had it that you're the most unsupportive person in my life. So that's just a declaration of what you have where you've been inauthentic. Hey, I've had it that you have been really unsupportive. I've had it that you don't like me, so I've been avoiding you. Okay? Or the next one, a good one, is I've been pretending that, and then you share your version of what's going on. I've been by the way, Jim, listen, I've been pretending that I've been okay, but I'm not. All right? I've been pretending that I'm all happy, but in reality, I've been miserable. So that is a powerful, vulnerable declaration of where you've been inauthentic, and that's your access to power and authenticity. Isn't it cool? It's a neat little trick you can do, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Next part is, but I now realize that. Okay, so let me repeat that. So the story I've been telling, Dad, the story I've been telling is that you're not supportive. But now I realize that you've been supportive all along, and your perceived lack of support has really helped me become stronger and more resilient and become a fighter. Got it? So you basically say, I've had it, Dad, that you are just completely unsupportive. Or I've had it that, you know, you don't really care about me. But now I realize that you have all along, and it's not all about me. Hello? Right? See what I just did there? So you restore power and connection with somebody who you've lost, where you just be inauthentic, you let your guard down, you get vulnerable, and you say, the story I've been telling is this, but now I realize that this. And then the next part is, the impact of this inauthentic way of being and acting has been, I've been sad, haven't been able to sleep at night, I'm miserable, I'm, you know, whatever. I avoid things. I lock myself in my room. I've been doing heavy drugs. You know, like I just tried to hide from myself. So just really talk about the impact of your lie. It's like you're shining a light and getting vulnerable, and that just opens hearts when you do that. If you're a speaker and you can start off your talk with authenticity like this, you've just completely connected yourself to an audience, and you're going to make sure that you really, there will be an amazing transformation because of the bond that you've made with the other person who's on the receiving end of your vulnerability here. It's really cool. So the story I've been telling, or I've had it that I've been pretending that this, but now I realize that this. But the impact of this inauthentic way of being, or the impact of my story, has been that I've just been miserable. Have been depressed, have been consistently making it all about me, and da-da-da-da-da. So you just share what your impact is. And the next part is, what's been missing in my life, because of the story, by the way, has been connection, power, a relationship with my father, uh, uh, a life that is all. What's been missing in my life is my own inner voice. What's been missing in my life is self-confidence. What's been missing in my life is a sense of freedom. What's been missing in my life is love. What's been missing in my life is, can I just share that? Okay. The next part, basically, and this is, if it's about that person, if your story is about the person themselves, a good question to ask is, what's been the impact of my story on you or for you? What's it been like for you? What's been the impact for you? And what this does is that it connects you to that other human being. You basically acknowledge, it's an acknowledgement that your story has impacted their life. Now you want to hear it from them, and you truly are listening. It's a very humbling question. And in this one, this is sometimes when it gets painful. You have to sit down and you got to listen. You have to listen, and you have to be open, and you have to let the person really share in a way, and you have to be there to listen. It's not easy. It's painful, but it's necessary access to power. So you're really wanting to know what's the impact of your BS story on the other person involved. And then that next part basically is, you then say, what can I do to restore that integrity? If they've been affected by your lack of integrity, if they've personally if they've personally been affected or impacted by it, you turn and ask them. It's such a consideration. It's love. This is what you do when you care. What can I do to restore that integrity? And they'll tell you. Sometimes I've had people say to me, Nima, you just did. Thank you. You just did. Or other people will say, well, all I need for you to do is to call me, or to tell me this, or to warn me, or not hide it. And, it's such a healing thing when you just turn to them and ask them what you can do. It's phenomenal. And the last part here is a declaration of what you'd love to be from this point forward. So you're sharing on what you want to intend on creating, not what you don't want. So what you basically say is, from here on out, I'd love to create a possibility of being connected, powerful, authentic. Talk about what you want to be. The possibility I'm creating is for us to be, friends, for us to really be bonded, for us to be in alignment with each other, for us to be closer. You know what I mean? Say what it is that you'd love to create, and see what opens up from here. It's amazing what can potentially open up from here. Remember, you don't want to show up with an apology, or a plea for forgiveness. It's an acknowledgement. Okay. Now you're putting yourself on the line. They might not be ready to do that. You might not get a favorable response. That's not the point here. The point here is to acknowledge and to regain your power and to take a step forward. Now, if they have an emotional contract with you that states that you are a different way than what you're talking about, and that this type of work that you're doing, they see such a dramatic change in you, they might not believe you, and they'll get skeptical. Be open to that. Doesn't mean that it's forever a shutdown. Maybe they just need to see evidence a little bit more, so that they can make sure that you're not all talk. So be open that they might not be cool with what you just said or what you just contributed there. So that's not the point. The point is that you took a step, you got vulnerable, which is where your access to power is. You shared where you were inauthentic, which is your access to authenticity. And you're now in powerful alignment, and you're completing all of those feelings in your social structures that are incomplete. This is the next step. We're clearing out past stuff. A, you know who you are. B, we're clearing past resentments and regrets. Now we are walking forward and reconnecting with all of our broken, non-working relationships, people who you're not really connected to. So you want to approach that person with a state of being you wish to be, with a clear intention before the conversation happens. You might even want to read or listen to your mission statement once more. Something that happens daily, but especially before times like these. You have to come from a place of powerful declaration. In other words, you have to come from nothing. In other words, you're not bringing the past story in. So if you bring the past story in, there's nothing wrong with that if you're not fully complete, but just declare yourself as incomplete. You know what I mean? You say, listen, I'm not fully complete with this story. However, the story that I've had has been this, but I realize, and I'm starting to realize that this. Do you know what I mean? If you're incomplete with it and you're incongruent, the way that you can get authentic is sharing where you're inauthentic. It's beautiful. So the whole goal is to come from nothing, to get yourself to the place where you're not present to any issues. You're not present to any feelings of resentment or guilt. You're walking in with nothing, with no agenda except to declare and to share, and see what opens up from there. And if nothing does, that doesn't matter. That's not the point. So the goal isn't power, but power does come as a result due to completing the story and becoming truly authentic and vulnerable, and sharing and connecting with another human being in a way they are touched and moved and inspired. So really share it with them in that way, and your chances of reconnection are much greater. In fact, the impact of this conversation is probably the most transformative part of this. I had one of my clients have a conversation about how, to her daughter, her 12-year-old daughter, about how she was conceived. You know, it wasn't in wedlock. So this was a big deal for a religious family. So finally, after 12 years, she shares it, and she basically felt free. And then I asked her, I said, you feel lighter, huh? And she said, totally, it's amazing. It was 10 minutes ago. I feel much lighter. My friends, this is where the physical weight comes in because of the emotional weight. Imagine holding on to a burden like this for 12 years. You know what I mean? And this person has weight issues, and she's been struggling, and this is part of the game. And I guarantee you now that she does this, any weight loss goals, any exercise goals are much more possible, much more executable because you don't have the guilt and shame anymore. You have restored integrity, workability, power, strength, vulnerability, freedom, self-expression. It all happens when you restore integrity. So your homework is to pick 5 people in your social structures. 5 peeps. Identify where there is a lack of love, regret, and a persistent complaint you have. 5 people. It's powerful. You're going to set yourself and them free by completing an overview about it and then restoring integrity. So let me just share that again. Restoring integrity. What does that mean? You sit there and look at any feelings that you still have that's not complete and work through them with myself, a coach, your accountability partner, or sit down and really do the work. What meaning are you making out of your last interaction, or that breakup scene, or whatever? I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. Great. Go back to your pre-ality scene, earlier scene, and where did you feel that before, that not good enough, or a similar kind of a breakup? You'll see it was mom, dad, or a child in the neighborhood or schoolyard when you were 6 to 8 years old, and really look where you were being good enough, where you were being cocky, where you were the one that was the cause of the breakup, and you really want to call yourself out and call that person and restore integrity with them first, and then your last friend, and do the same thing. See where you were the cause of them. Get into their world. Get out of your limited perspective. See where you were the asshole, where you were delusional, where you expected them to see things your way when they were living according to their values, or where you expected them to be one-sided where they have two-sided, or you expected them to support you when your values don't match theirs and they're not supposed to, or you feel rejection from them. You call yourself out. You call them up and you say, listen, I just want to tell you, I had it that you should see things my way during that last interaction, but you don't. We don't have to agree for us to be in harmony. And the impact of that story was that I lost a friend. And what's been missing in my life is a connection with you. You know, what's been the impact of my story on you? Ah, okay. What can I do to restore that integrity? Ah, okay, I can do that. Sure. Easy. So from here, the vision I have for myself and my life and for you and us is to be connected, to be honest with each other, to be aligned with each other, and to really help each and be for each other rather than jealous and all that stuff. You don't even have to talk about the jealousy. I broke a rule there. I was out of integrity. You don't talk about what you don't want. You talk about what you actually want. You know, I have the possibility of, you know, going to hockey games together and to, you know, spend a lot more time with each other. So you will always have people like I just realized I haven't seen my brother in about a week, and my niece was in the hospital and I didn't go and visit. So I know that if I was to get into his world, he would be upset, and I'm probably going to call him right after I put this down. And here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, hey, Sep, listen, I had it that because I'm busy, I don't have to come and visit Lua when she gets sick. But in reality, that's a bonehead thing to do. And the impact of that has been, I've been feeling extreme amount of guilt. I've been feeling like not present and beating myself up. I haven't been really doing well, and I've been avoiding you. And what's been missing has been, you know, this feeling of connection with you because of that. So what's it been like for you? Tell me what it's been like. Yeah, he'll say, yeah, it was pretty, you know, I was wondering why you didn't care and all that. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So how can I make it better? What can I do to restore that? What can I do right now? And he'll say, no, nothing. It's all good. You did. Okay, great. So possibility that I'm creating is to basically to show up and be there and to show you how much you and she means to me. So, and then I'll see what opens up from there. And now that instantaneously takes that feeling of guilt and horrificness and it turns it into love, because we're all going to die someday. Here's the deal. Why is it imperative that you do this? Because you're going to die someday. And I've done too many sessions with people who have actually not been able to restore integrity with people before they died. And they just wish that they had the time. And we think that we have forever, but we don't. We're all going to die. It's very, 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 very certain that you're going to die someday. So the whole point is to experience this life with love. And if there's something blocking that, what the hell are you waiting for? What the hell are we waiting for? I'm talking to myself here, not you. I'm talking to all of us. What are we waiting for? When I realized this, I sent a text message to my father and I said, Dad, I want you to come to Italy with me. So, and I spent that time restoring integrity because I knew that, you know, I don't have much time with him and he's almost 70. And so I'm not going to spend the rest of my life feeling resentful and feeling that he should be supporting me in different ways. I'm choosing different thoughts, choosing to view him and the ways that he does support me. And when I do choose to see that, I find evidence to support my new belief. So anything can be transformed. I want you to look for evidence to support the belief that the universe is friendly, that you are surrounded by love, that you have every reason to trust in God or the universe as you're moving forward, because look at how far you've come, where you've taken that leap. You know, you took the leap to do this program. It was a scary thing for you, I'm sure, to invest in yourself and to commit to something like this. But I guarantee you that if you have been doing the work, you don't regret it. You're not worried about that. You're not regretting it at all because of the amazing transformation and value that you've seen, and the you know, like the community that you've just created, not just here, but around you. How the world around you, your family, your friends, they've all benefited because you're doing this work. So kudos, much love and respect to you. You have 5 people to do this week. Now, post your results in the group. I can't wait to hear it. God bless you. Mad love. And I'm sending you all the love and respect and appreciation for being part of this project. And I just want to thank everybody involved. I want to thank Amanda. I want to thank you, Alex, and Laura, of course, and every single person in this group. God bless you guys, and I will see you at the next perfect time.